Welcome to the Ozone. I'm Robin Shermingham of the Olderhood Group, and my guest today is Martin Gilbert, co-founder and former chief executive of Aberdeen Asset Management and currently chairman of both Revolut and AssetCo plc London. Today we're talking about how ESG is impacting the management of investments. Welcome, Martin.
Thank you.
Well, it's great to have you back again. If you missed part one of my interview with Martin, we were talking about exactly what is ESG. And today we're going to change it up and talk about the impact that the introduction of ESG policies are having on public companies. So let's start this off. How is all of this affecting the asset management industry?
It's had a major effect on the asset management industry. I've seen over the last sort of 5 years a huge change in what our clients expect of us as an asset manager. So we're seeing a lot of pressure from our clients. In fact, if you were taking part in a search for an asset manager, ESG would be one of the criteria now that would be high on the list of whether you would be appointed to manage that particular mandate. So it's had a massive effect. It's forced asset managers to build teams to monitor the aspects of ESG. As I said earlier, the teams in the past were very much slanted towards governance. Now we need a different skill set, people who understand sustainability, people who understand social. So a big change in how money is managed now by asset managers.
So that's an interesting challenge when the asset management team has to be much more diverse themselves. So how is all of this transforming what it means to invest responsibly?
You're right. I mean, there are two different models. Some houses separate the governance team, the sustainability team from the actual asset managers. I've always been a great believer in having them work collaboratively together. I.e., they have joint meetings with management. So they would meet together with the management team. The fund manager would ask financial questions. Often then the sustainability team will ask about sustainability issues. So that's how I like to see them operate rather than have completely separate meetings.
Yeah, I think that's a critical point because, how you invest is very much dependent on the research that the analysts are generating. Speaking of that, what are some of the benchmarks that investment analysts are now taking a keen interest in?
Yeah, we look at the gender pay gap. We look at diversity measures, how many members of the senior management team are women, being a very simple measure. Boards are largely done. I would say the 30% club in the UK has had a major effect, making sure that boards are diverse. Where there is a bigger issue tends to be in the executive, the senior executive, the C-suite sort of level, where diversity is not as good as I think it should be. But again, there are targets that companies will have to meet. So it's high on the agenda, and when the owners of the business, i.e. the shareholders, say they want a company to be more diverse, it will happen because, as I say, they own the company, and they will say, unless you do this, we will either disinvest or we'll change the management. So we've seen huge strides over the last sort of 5 to 10 years in gender diversity. There's still work to do in other areas of diversity.
I agree with you. We also hear a lot of talk about quantifying non-financial metrics. Explain to everybody just quickly what is a non-financial metric, and then how are analysts addressing all of that?
Yeah, a good example would be the gender pay gap, or the diversity amongst the executive team, or how many of the board, what is the percentage of women on a board. These are the non-sort of financial metrics, um, which we measure. But all of this really needs to also be accompanied by face-to-face meetings with management, to because at those meetings you get a feel for the direction a company is going in, and whether they're just paying lip service to these sort of metrics, or whether they genuinely believe in them. And we as fund managers are, I personally genuinely believe a diverse company will perform better than one that isn't diverse. So yeah, I think that's where only by meeting you can tell whether, as I say, they're just paying lip service to it.
I think you're right, and I think it'll be interesting to see how that word diversity is interpreted as we go forward, because you're right, there's an awful lot more that goes into it when you're talking about diversity of
Yeah,
perspective, not
yeah,
just gender or
yeah.
racial lines. People from different walks of life, different skill sets, all coming together and attacking the same problem. What's your key message to everybody who watches this video?
I think if you're a saver or an investor, make sure that your manager, your asset manager, is passionate about diversity, about sustainability, um, and the growth area of the future will be impact investing, as the sort of younger generation inherit money, and they definitely feel more passionate about the planet than we do. So yeah, I would just say hold your asset manager to account on diversity and sustainability.
Well, that's good advice for everybody. Martin, as always, thank you for your time. It's a pleasure to chat with you. You've been watching The Ozone. Join us again soon.